Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Project S3, and I hope you've had a good week up to now. So the last episode I left you and we were trying to get this car started, but we were having problems. The key was just clicking and there was nothing. But what I did notice was that when I was turning the car over, or trying to turn the car over, the dashboard was just going blank, which is normally a sign. So excuse me, the first thing that I did was we checked every single electrical connection in the car here to make sure that I hadn't missed anything. Went through all my photo libraries that I took of everything, and everything is in place. The last thing I then checked was the battery itself, and I made a very interesting discovery. Let me show you what I found. Okay, so what I found, and I'm not sure you can actually tell on the camera, let me try it from a different angle, but the battery terminal is damaged. So this terminal is actually at an angle, and the same with that one over there. Now when I tested the battery was at about 11.5 volts. It needs to be higher than that to crank the car over. So I charged it overnight and it's now much more powerful. So I think that that's what the problem was. This is the first time that I'm putting the battery back on the car, and what I've noticed is that it's dropped down again to about 11. So it was holding 12 volts, it's now about 11.2. so we're going to stick the battery on charge again. I've got my charger just sitting over there in the corner. We'll put the battery back on charge, and then what we will do is we've got a few other jobs here that needs to be done on the car. We're going to crack on and do those. I need to get the drive shafts back on, so let's just get ahead and do that. By the time we finish putting all of those back on, this battery should be in a position for us to give it a charge. So yeah, we got quite a few things to do underneath here, so let's just crack on and do those. Oh, before we crack on as well, you may have noticed that I use this cheap oil from Halfords. It is Volkswagen rated oil and it's fully synthetic, but the reason why I've used this is because I want to do an engine oil flush. So I've put this in the car to run it, then I'm going to flush the oil out, and then I'm going to put in a higher grade quality oil, or a recommended oil. This is a recommended oil, but this is an S3 and I want it to run as smooth as possible. So just in case you notice, that's the reason why I've got this in there, because we're going to flush it out. Okay, so we've got to put our drive shaft back in, and to secure the drive shaft you have these bolts here. So these drive shaft bolts, these are M8s. Now they're replacements. Every time you take these off you have to replace them because these are stretch bolts. And what happens when you tighten them up, they actually stretch, and that maintains the tension so the bolts don't loosen. If you put the same bolts back in, what happens is there's no tension, and with the centrifugal force of the drive shaft going around, they will loosen in a matter of days and they will fall out. That is why you need to replace them. Next to them I've got my engine mounts. These are new, exactly the same thing, stretch bolts, so they need to be replaced, otherwise they will vibrate themselves loose. So we got those to replace. We'll start off with the drive shaft so we can secure those, and we'll then do the engine mounts. Okay, so the battery's making good progress. It's charging pretty well. Got the door shut today for the first time because we've got that storm outside and it's raining cats and dogs and everything. So I'm glad to be inside the garage out of the wet, because it really is howling a beast out there. In the meantime, I've got to put this tie bar back on, so that's the next thing that we need to do, and then that will complete this side of the steering. Oh, and we've got to put the steering rod itself in as well, which is sitting down here pretty loose. So let's get those two jobs done, and then I think we go on to then sort out the radiator. Put the fans take the fans out of the old radiator and stick them into the new one. I have actually ordered an intercooler, a condenser rather, and then that will complete that front there. Anyway, enough chat, let's crack on with this. Right, fan time. So we need to take this fan off the assembly here, off the old radiator. We then need to strip the fan off this casing and then install it on this casing here. Then we can install it into the slam panel and get that ready. We're not going to install it in a slam panel today. We'll save that for the weekend, but we need to get it ready so we can then take this off one time and then get that all ready to be topped up with water once we get this engine started, which is coming up shortly. So I know you guys have been waiting for that. So anyway, let's get this off first, and then we can take these fan motors off and then stick them onto the new fan. Okay, so you probably saw me struggling there trying to get these fans to fit, and I've just realized why they don't fit. So this is the new one underneath here. You can see that it's got a circular, and this is the old one. It's got a big square one, so the fans are different. But even though the housings are pretty much the same, they're different, and that's the reason why this is not fitting. Right, okay, so we're going to have to think of something on how we're going to get this sorted. Either we buy a new housing or something else. Right. Okay, so that's not going to work. So we're going to go and do something else. We still need a little bit more time to charge, so it's almost there, but we're going to find another job to do. Right, this is the moment. We're going to start the car, hopefully. Right, so I'm going to connect up the battery now, and I'm hoping that that issue with the battery was what was causing our issue on Monday. So let's connect the battery up, let's give this car another start. So I've checked the battery. Definitely is okay now. It's definitely got the right charge. So let's have a look and see what happens. We'll give the car a 2 to 3 second start up. if it starts, right, fire in the hole. Brilliant! The car start. I'm going to try it again just to make sure. Ooh. Nope, not that time. Fantastic. I'm over the moon. So that's what it was the battery. Sounded really good actually. Absolutely brilliant. Cool. I am so happy. I cannot tell you how relieved I am that this engine has started. And with not much effort either. So that is great news. So the car is alive. This project continues. Right, okay. So I think on that note we're going to end it there. So if you're enjoying this channel, don't forget to subscribe just there, right there, okay, and give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying this content. So we've just reached a major milestone. The new engine has started, but that is just milestone number one. We got to make sure that the gear is working, the DSG gearbox is working as well. But so far, if you can get the engine started, that's really half the hassle. So hopefully the parts that I need will come in for the weekend, and then we can reassemble the front. I can get the coolant in there, and we can get this car down on the wheels even. Could you imagine that? Yeah. So thank you for viewing this, guys. Have a good week, and we will see you on Monday.